So this is the last session before we call it a day, and I think we'll still continue to have some team building sessions in between. Uh, you know, with Santosh being around here, I love the energy, and I think if you all agree, we'll go on till 4 with a lot of team building activities, and also we'll have tea, coffee there. So with this, I'm now inviting Majo Francis and Nijas Rotha. So I'm not doing again an introduction for Maju. So Nijas will both will basically come and present. It's a joint session. So I would like to welcome Nijas Rotha from Haiku, and he will walk us through data protection for Bitbucket Cloud. Please welcome.
Yeah. Hi everyone. I'm Nijas Birauta. I'm working as a software architect at Haiku. How many of you know Haiku? One, much. Okay. So after lunch, last session, I know I can see some sleepy faces. Some are actually sleeping. And you don't see usually a technical architect coming and giving a session, right? Because we are usually the people who are behind the scenes. And actually filling in for a director of mine who couldn't join. So you guys will be thinking, what is going to be a technical? It's usually very boring sessions that technical architects will be giving. But I'll try to make it very interesting because this topic is very interesting. It's about backups. It's about securing your Bitbucket ecosystem. So I hope you have a great time. So this session we will have 3 parts. So first I will be going through a few slides. Then I will hand it over to Majo for a demo, and then we will have a dedicated questionnaire. So please reserve all your questions for that dedicated section. Okay. Just to start, I'll be introducing who we are at Haiku. So Haiku is the world's fastest growing data protection company. So coming to our investors, we are backed by Atlassian. So Atlassian is one of the key investors with Bain Capital, Accru, Cisco, and Okta Ventures. So they all are helping us achieve our mission to make this world a safer place, right? So we want to make this world a safer place by protecting all your data. And today's discussion, we will be focusing mostly on Bitbucket and how we can protect your Bitbucket ecosystem. So how many of you use Bitbucket here, right? And I will have a follow-up question on how and which version of Bitbucket are you using. That we'll get to in a later stage. So again, coming back to Haiku, I have a few things to say about Haiku. So we are, of course, a global company. So we have our presence in more than 78 countries with over 4,000 customers. Then we have offices worldwide. Leading industry customer support. Then we have data protection, not just for cloud. So we started with on-prem data protection. Then we have protection for your data center cloud workloads and also for SaaS applications. Then Atlassian and Okta, they are our most strategic partners. And one more thing is for the last 3 consecutive years, we have been recognized by Gartner as a visionary in this data protection space. And I'm also proud to say we are the only Bitbucket protection software out there which has a Gartner recognition. Okay, so our focus is today on Bitbucket. And why do we need to protect Bitbucket, right? So because Bitbucket is actually the core of any product, because Bitbucket is no longer just a source code repository. It's not just a place where your source code sits. Because, of course, your source code, your libraries and all are there. But in the situation, or in today's world, we are using it for a lot more things like all your CI/CD pipelines, or if you talk about your infrastructure as a code, all your if you have a containerized ecosystem where you have a Kubernetes cluster, all your Kubernetes declarative YAMLs, all your ISC code, everything is going and sitting in there. So your Bitbucket ecosystem is very, very crucial. Think of a scenario like one fine day you're coming and all your data is gone. It is definitely not a good sight to have, right? So just to show like what all your Bitbucket holds today. Like it is obviously the IPs, I mean all your source code, libraries, dependencies, schema, scripts, testing code, then your deployment, like all your Terraform scripts. And earlier you used to store keys. I don't think anybody does it anymore. But when it comes to your Kubernetes or container workloads, all your declarative YAML files, everything is now having a single source, right? I mean, it's all sitting in your Bitbucket ecosystem. Okay, it's much louder if I talk like this. Okay. Yeah. So what is actually your role in protecting Bitbucket, right? So there is a very dangerous assumption that most of the organizations have today. Like all the organizations, like almost majority of them assume, like when you're using a cloud service or a SaaS service or a managed service, my data is safe with them, right? So we don't really worry about our data. That is a very dangerous assumption. Like, have you ever thought, like, what happens if your Bitbucket repository is gone? Like, if you go to Atlassian and ask, tell them, like, my Bitbucket repository is gone, I mean, do you think they will be able to help? Have you ever ran into such a scenario like like you had a very crucial attachment in your Jira or you had a repository which is very critical in Bitbucket and you lost it? Have anybody ran into such a situation? I'm glad none of you have. But we will be discussing about what your role is in when such a situation happens, right? So for that, okay. So this is a dumb comparison, but it will work. I'll show you. So here I'm going to compare Atlassian, or for that matter, any SaaS cloud provider as a parking garage, right? Compare Atlassian as a parking garage. So we all go for movies to shopping malls. Like what we do, like we will go there, we will take our car to the parking garage, and we will of course pay them like 50 or 100 rupees per hour. And what do we expect them to provide? We expect them to give you a proper space to park your car, right? And we expect them to scale. Like I mean, they are supposed to like hold all the customers that are coming to that shopping mall, right? So their service is to give you a safe parking spot, to make sure they can scale. And you then park your car, you go watch your movie. I mean, then you're coming back, you expect your car to be there, right? What if you forgot to like maybe roll up your windows, right? All your valuables are gone once you're back. What will you do? I mean, what can you do? You might go to the shopping mall authorities and ask, like, I forgot to like close my windows and my stuff is gone, my laptop is gone. They will show you this, right? They will say, like, we are not responsible for your valuables. It was your duty to first close everything and make sure you did your role there, right? So similarly, when it comes to data protection, there is a very, very important concept. So it is called shared responsibility model. So it's not just with Atlassian, it's with any SaaS provider. If you go and check, it would have been clearly mentioned in their documentation. So your data is your responsibility, right? So just to continue, yeah. So what does Atlassian do? So like I told you about the parking garage, they have a few set of things that they are giving you because you are paying. That is a space and scalability, etc. So Atlassian will do a few things. They will make sure there is operational continuity. Like no matter what happens, like if there is an outage, they'll make sure all the 5 nines are there in terms of availability. Like if there is a disaster, they will make sure to replicate stuffs, and they will make sure to take system level backups. They will primarily make sure your service is up and running all the time, right? That is what is most important to them. But you see your role there, right? So that is equally or more important from your side. So we know like Atlassian has RBAC, like role-based access control. Why do you think they have that? Like it is, so I miss to like roll up my windows while I park my car. That is why it was easy for the bad actors to come and pick the laptop from my car, right? So it is your role as an IT admin or whoever is managing that Atlassian portfolio to make sure Like you have properly configured your Atlassian environment. Like you will be enabling roles for each type of user so that you will make sure you will try to keep the bad actors away. So that is one part of your role. And the second most critical part where Haiku comes into picture is creating backups of your data, right? So you need to have a very comprehensive backup strategy for your Atlassian data or any SaaS application data. So here we are focusing about Bitbucket. So that is what a shared responsibility model is all about. Like, just to give maybe a more relevant example, since I see a lot of young crowd. So you all use Instagram, and one of your photo got accidentally deleted, right? One of your picture. So do you think like Instagram will help you restore that? Like you raise a support ticket. It was a very important picture with my wife, and I lost it. They will be like, see, if you think from their side, it's not, you can't complain because they really don't know whether that deletion was a good delete or a bad delete, right? So all they do, they have a delete feature in their application. So they never knew like this was deleted by a malicious actor or it was actually deleted by you. So they don't take the ownership of that data. Similar is the case with any SaaS provider. Like if you have used Atlassian Jira, if you go to an attachment and if you try deleting that attachment, they will properly give you a warning. Like if you delete this, it is gone for good. So they are giving you a warning, like if you delete it, you have no ways to recover that. Right? So that is why your data is very important and you need to have a very sophisticated backup and restore strategy. So this is a real customer example, like Tartu City. There is a US customer. So what happened to them is this case that we were just discussing about. So this is how the customer was caught. Like I saw 2,000 assets disappear in a second. So you guys might have used Jira Asset Management, right? So we have asset management feature in Jira. It's more like a CMDB. So there we have object schemas, then we have object types, right? And you have multiple other object types. Then you have objects under each object type. So this customer, they wanted to actually delete an object, but they accidentally deleted an object type, right? So with that, 2,000 objects of theirs went. Basically, it could have been any assets. It could be laptops. So they basically lost the data of 2,000 assets. And they, as anybody, reached out to Atlassian support. And this is what they heard from them. So, they said there is nothing much that they can do. And it actually took Tartu more than, I think, 2-3 weeks to get their data back. So I called Atlassian support, and there was not much Atlassian could do. That's when I realized about this shared responsibility. So they are now a customer of Haiku. They understood the value of backing up their data. So what we have in Haiku is a support for all the Atlassian products. And we do have granular restore capabilities as well. Like you protect, so what they could have essentially done if they had a proper backup is, okay, they deleted accidentally an object type. They just had to come to the Haiku portal. They could have just selected that object type and did a restore. All their object types, its object types, and all the assets would have got restored back. So that is a customer experience. Yeah. So what are the common threats to the Bitbucket data and your repositories, right? So there was a study. I forgot, I actually wrote it in my hand. That name is a little confusing. Aberdeen University. So they actually did a study and they figured out, and even Verizon for that matter, did a study in 2024. And what they found out is 65% of the data deletions happen from human errors. So it's somebody accidentally deletes something, right? So it's not always somebody doing a ransomware attack, or of course, those are there in the list as well. But 65% of the time, it is accidental deletion, right? Somebody accidentally deleted an object type or like an attachment or a repository. So that is the common threat to your repository. Then we have cases of overwriting data. Then somebody losing credentials, like your repository is corrupted, or there could be some malicious attacks, there could be ransomware attacks. And all of these misconfigurations are reasons for corrupting your data ecosystem, right? So these are the threats that we have to your repository, and how or what we can do to protect your Atlassian ecosystem now, or for our interest is of Bitbucket right now. So coming to the protection, the first set of steps that you see here is on the protection side. So that is, I mean, it has nothing to do with Haiku. I mean, it is that window closing thing that we were discussing when we were talking about cars, right? Like you have to close your doors and make sure everything is done from your side. So you have to enable MFA on your Atlassian environment. You have to limit and monitor access. So principle of least privilege, we all know that, right? So we have to make sure only the right actors has right to the right set of data. So that is your second thing. And then you have to make sure in Bitbucket you have properly set the branch permissions, right? So only the right people gets access to the right branches. And then you should review this process. I mean, not everybody has rights to merge your pull requests. So all of these are the things that you should take care from a protection standpoint. And when it comes to recovery, that is where Haiku will come into picture. So you should regularly be backing up your repositories. So based on how critical your repository is, some may be, so you can essentially think Bitbucket is more, or, I mean, it's more like your production instance, right? So it's very close to how important your production environment is. If your Bitbucket data is gone, your production will come to a standstill. So you should have a regular backup strategy for each of your repositories. Some may be very critical ones, so for that you might need to back up every 4 hours. Some you might only need to back up every 1 day. Some might be barely used, so you know the changes are going to be very minimal, that I need to only back it up every 1 month. So you need to have a regular backup strategy for your repositories. Then you should be making sure these backup copies are properly stored in an immutable storage. And very important is to test your recovery flows. So it's not just enough to just configure your backups and be happy, but you should be having regular drills to test whether your backup strategy is working, right? So you do a mock drill, you delete something, and you make sure like you are able to restore it from one of your backups and your things are back to work. I mean, it's not just the repository, like all the aspects, like you're able to properly integrate it and you're able to bring back things to normal. That is something that you should be having as a regular thing. Okay, this is not so important. So this is about Haiku and how we have been protecting data from 2017. Like we started, as I said, with the on-prem backups. Like we used to, I mean, we first started with Nutanix, VMware, Dell, NetApp backups. Then we started supporting your data workloads in the public clouds. Like when there was a time when we had to have data centers in public clouds and you used to host your data there. We had supported that. Then now we are here. Like we are starting, I mean, we have a support for your Atlassian cloud data backups, right? And so I'm very happy to say like we are the product in the market today, in the world right now, which has the maximum Atlassian stack coverage when it comes to a backup and recovery capability. Like we have a product for Jira Service Management, Jira Software, Jira Product Discovery. There is a backup module for Confluence. We have support for Bitbucket, which is of our interest today. We have support for Trello. Then we have support for work management. I mean, we don't call it work management anymore. It is now merged to software. So that is why we don't have it here. And not just Atlassian Stack. So we have actually more than 100 plus integrations in SaaS world. Like we are protecting your GitLab data, GitHub data, Circle CI, Terraform, all your entire DevOps landscape, plus your entire enterprise set of applications like Microsoft 365, Google Workspace, Salesforce, Box, DocuSign, Miro. So you can check it out, like what all the products that Haiku has. And this is a very important slide. So I'll just complete it. Yeah. So this is to show how the data flow happens and where the backed up data should reside, because that is very, very important. So it's not just enough for you to have a backup strategy, but you should be properly aware of where your backup data sits, right? So as you can see, we have Bitbucket. And the first, to the right, you have like a backup system must be accessible outside of Atlassian, right? So we have, what all are the problems that you can think about if you have a backup product which is a plugin of Atlassian? think about you have a backup. I mean, you bought a backup product which is sitting inside Atlassian. So think about a scenario like the entire Atlassian is down, one region is down. Then you essentially cannot even access your backups because with that Atlassian failure, the backup strategy, I mean, that backup product will also fail, right? So how many of you have heard about GDPR? Wow, okay. How many have you heard about DORA? Not the Dora Buji. Yeah, DORA. And how many of you have heard about NIST? NIS. Okay. So these all are essentially data regulation standards, right? So if you read about DORA or NIST too, they have it clearly written. Like if you have to have DORA compliance, you must have your backup data sitting outside of your source, right? Your backed up data shouldn't be tied to your source. And that is a very fair ask, like the situation I was saying. You have an Atlassian backup, but your backed up data itself is sitting in an Atlassian plugin. Then once you have an outage, you essentially can't access your data. So that makes it critical that your backup strategy will make sure your backed up data is sitting outside of Atlassian. Then you come and see the last one, like your copies should be stored offsite and only in your control. So when I talk about Haiku, we don't have access to the data that we protect. So that is strange. I know it sounds strange, but it is a design that we decided adds, we think it adds most value to the customer. Like we don't store your data. Your data should be with you. Like as a customer, when they come, so there are cases when customers ask us to please store the data because they don't have a cloud friend, they don't have any cloud support. So in that case, we will do it for them. But we very, very highly recommend customers to store the backed up data with themselves. Why? Because then they have full control of their data. The data is not hostile to them. So they have, they can apply whatever encryption that they want to have. Maybe, I mean, think like you have a S3 bucket and that is where you want the data to be stored. So you can define what encryption standard you want to have it encrypted with. So once you have control of your data, the possibilities are huge, right? So, and if you see the last one, copies must be accessible in ransomware attack. So if there is a ransomware attack situation, if you have control of your data, you are in a much better shape. Like you don't need to worry about your operational continuity. You have your data with you. You can just go and access that. And you might be thinking, what if Atlassian is down? And what will I do with the data that I have, right? So I have some files with me, but Atlassian is down. How can I make sense of that data, right? So that is where we have a different set of features called exports. Like if you have a very critical file, you can actually export it to another S3 location, and you can just have that file back, even when your Atlassian is down. So there are multiple possibilities if you have a proper backup strategy. Going to the next slide. And again, just stressing on the last point, like once you have control of your data, these are the benefits. Like you have an S3 storage, you can define in your region, in your availability zone, you can have a VPC configured, and you can put your data inside that S3 storage. You can define the storage account permissions all to yourself. And nobody has control over that data, right? So that is something that we highly recommend our customers. And I'm happy to say like 95% of our customers do take this strategy. They won't ask us to store the data until and unless they don't have a way to store it themselves, which is very rare. Okay, and just a few standards that we follow. Like data is encrypted at rest and in flight. So it's like a encrypted highway that Haiku is providing to you to transfer your data from Atlassian to your own storage, right? The data is it is encrypted at rest and during the transit, during the network. Then data is stored in customer's account. Haiku does not store customer backups. That is very important. And then customer controls where the data resides in terms of region. They control where the data processing happens. Then data is stored on an S3 bucket. So we have offerings to support the data storage to any cloud of your choice. Like if you have some requirements, like I want to put all my backups in Azure, or I want to put all my backups in S3, I want to put all my backups in GCP cloud buckets, right? So we have support that you can have your backup targets across any cloud or even S3 compatible storages like Wasabi. I don't know, many of you are familiar with other S3 backup, compatible storages, right? So we can write your data to anywhere, from everywhere, right? Then enable immutable copies for break last copy. Yeah, so basically, as a customer, it's your duty to make sure that your data is immutable and you should have proper restrictions around it. Okay, so I'll be handing it over to Majo in a while. So I hope like you could get a sense of why it is important to secure your Bitbucket ecosystem or your entire Atlassian suite for that matter, right? So mistakes can happen at any time. So if you have a proper backup strategy, you don't need to be worried anymore. You will be having all the levels of granularity to restore your data. Like I just accidentally deleted an attachment, you will be just able to restore that attachment back using Haiku, right? And I would like to thank Girish and Majo and his team, Naga and all, who work with us. So MG Tech, they work with us to build this Bitbucket module from scratch, right? So we have a platform called rCloud, which can be essentially used to make or create a backup application for any SaaS application out there. So they have worked like very closely with us, and thanks a lot, guys. And really looking forward to the demo. Thanks, thanks everyone.
Yeah, thank you, Nijas. Hi, everyone. So I hate to be the last guy standing between you and your tea break. Trust me, I'll keep this short, okay? Okay, so we will start with Haiku and Bitbucket, right? So which are the entities or the hierarchy levels we are able to, support during the backup and restore, right? So let's check your knowledge levels, right? In Bitbucket, which are the entities that you are familiar with, right? So I will start at the top level, workspace. Next, projects. Anyone? Repositories. Next. Branches. Okay, the source directories, then comes your source files. So even in source files, you have the normal files as well as your LFS files. And then, of course, you have your tags, your pull requests, pipelines, etc., right? So those are the entities supported for the backup and restore. So we start with creating a app token from your Bitbucket account. So for this, you need to be a workspace admin for the workspace that you wish to protect. So as you are seeing in the demo, you start with creating an app password, provided the necessary project level and repo level permissions. And then we head to the rCloud platform, which Nijas mentioned. So I will be walking you through some quick menus items here. So the first one is sources. So this is where we configure your Bitbucket workspace details. So the main important fields for you are the workspace key, okay? The key of the workspace that you need to protect, and then your Bitbucket username. So this is not your email, but in the username that you can find in your profile. And then comes the app password, which we just generated. So with that, we connect to the Bitbucket from your rCloud. It's a demo video, so I'm not putting the details. And let me see if I can fast forward a little. So with that, we just configured our connection to Bitbucket, right? So the rCloud now automatically discovers all the projects and repositories available in the Bitbucket, right? And they're almost ready for backup now. So just before that, you have to configure a few additional things. So starting with targets. So what are targets? So these are different possible storage solutions where you can store your data, right? So like Nija mentioned, Haiku supports almost all the popular storage services, including the Amazon S3, the Azure, Google Storage, and Wasabi, and many more. So next comes policies. So policies is a way for you to define, right? What should be your backup frequency, right? Every day or every week, and what should be the retention period? How long to retain or maintain the storage, and in which region? Is it single region or multi-region, right? I'm just rushing through the slides. So we just saw the source creation, the target definition, and creating a backup policy. So with that, we are going to our SaaS page where we already have our projects. So we select the project that you wish to backup, right? So for that project, I am setting a backup policy. Okay, keep backing up this like every day, maintain the backup for like 2 weeks, right? So I assigned a backup policy to a project, and I can of course backup then. That's how it starts. So we have a few additional settings during the backup procedure. There is a configuration option available for you, where you can say, okay, even in my project, I don't want to backup all the repos under that. So you can, of course, exclude a few resources or the repositories from there, so that only your rest of the important repositories are backed up in that project, right? Quite handy when it comes to bulky projects. So talking about restore, so all your backups will be listed under your selected projects from all your timeline. So you select the corresponding backup file to restore. So when it comes to restore, you get two options. You can either restore at a project level or restore at a repository level. So if you restore at project level, of course, the project and all the repos under it are restored. Whereas with the repository level, you get to choose, okay, which are the repositories I need to restore, as you can see here. So you can check or uncheck the ones you decide, and Haiku do the rest. So it restores your repository back into your Bitbucket. So the main advantage with this approach is it maintains even all your commit hashes. That way, your developers can, quickly get back to the work. And imagine your previous project and repo was already there. So in that case, in the restored repo, we just add a epoch timestamp, so that way there are no duplicate. Even Bitbucket do not allow us to create duplicate, repo names or the repo keys. So just by adding a epoch timestamp, we overcome that. And that's it. So, your data is now safely there in the S3 storage, and you are able to restore it now. Yeah. Thank you. Maybe we'll take any quick questions. Or, okay, we'll be offline. We'll be available here. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. I request you to be on stage. Nijas and Majo, sir, please. I request Mr. Nagaraj, sir, and the team to come forward and let's present a token of appreciation. Thank you so much for your presentation, sir. All right, ladies and gentlemen, how's the Josh? It's fine. It's absolutely fine. It's on a Saturday evening. Well, guys, did you enjoy the session? Yes, we did. We can see the real lighting minded people who are actually sticking put with all the things what they want to go and get through, especially you, ma'am. You've been making lots of notes. आपका 100% results आया होगा. Well, how many of you made notes? That's great. Thank you. That's always a good habit. We are still following the traditional format. Okay, how many of you digitally making notes on phone? Oh, Aval number wale. That's good. It's always good to make notes. And also, please make a note. You are the amazing participants, I can say. And yes, I had my energy on because of you all. Thank you so much for making me feel so amazingly awesome. And right from the start to the end of this beautiful session. So yeah, we have come to the end. We got to end up. Yes, my session might take a little long, but again, I am not going to be doing it because of the time constraints. And also we have other duties to fulfill. So everybody, please come closer. Yeah, let's stand together and come closer so that we can take the group photo. And photographers here, videographer can also join us on screen, on stage. Thumbs up picture. Thumbs up picture. Thank you so much for being a beautiful set of people who have worked towards the success of this beautiful story. May I request the speakers who will be around? Oh, we're done. Mr. Vishnu to do the roll of thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Prakash. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I know you're almost ready to leave, I know, but I wouldn't take much time. As we come to the end of the wonderful day of learning and collaboration, I just want to express my heartfelt gratitude to the people who made us, happen this event and make it a success. So let me start with the registration counter, and we have Soumya, Sneha, and Pooja helping us with the registration, seamless registration and entry from the beginning. So thank you, all of them. I know they have left, but still I want to make sure I express my gratitude to them. And then the panel discussion we had on the ITSM, Dipendu, Wasim, Hariprasad, and Girish, thank you so much for sharing your experience and knowledge on ITSM side. Appreciate your help there. To Kaustubh, we appreciate your informative session on Robo AI. I think that was the most wanted and interesting session for today. Thank you so much for joining us today. And Santosh, for being a great MC. I know we couldn't utilize your full potential, but I'm sure we will still collaborate and make sure you get some opportunity in future. Thank you so much for joining us today. And Karthik and his talented team, Bunaphonic, right? I always mispronounce, but I made it correct this time. So thank you so much for the fantastic performance today. Well, I know they also left, but still, thank you, team. And Mejo and Nichas, appreciate your wonderful informative session. Thank you so much for joining us today. Also, my a personal thanks to my colleagues, Girish and Nagaraju, as well as Tamanna, our sponsor from Atlassian. Thank you so much for supporting me to host this event today. Last but not least, Robert and team, obviously our pillars, like we've been depending on you since so many events. Thank you so much for setting up our stage, audio, video, everything. Appreciate your help. Also, let me also express my gratitude to the team Courtyard by Marriott for providing the venue and delicious food they served today for the lunch and later. Thank you so much. I'm not extending my words. Thank you so much for each one of you for joining us today, spending your Saturday with us. Sorry? Did I miss anybody? Was obviously. So that was my first in the list, but I missed. Thank you so much, Atlassian support board team. Hope you got a great interaction with a few of our users. We will meet you again. We will be inviting you again when we have such events in future. So thanks a lot. Signing off for today. This is Vishnu.
Thank you, Mr. Vishnu. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. It's an honor to have myself here, getting a beautiful opportunity to be part of Atlassian's community, Bengaluru. Well, ಎಂಥಾದರಿರು ಎಲ್ಲಾದರಿರು ನೀ ಎಂದೆಂದಿಗೂ Atlassian community ಅವನಾಗಿರು ಜೋರಾದ ಚಪ್ಪಾಳೆ. Let's make some noise for you all. You've been an amazing, fantabulous audience and our lovely guest speakers and also dignitaries who did speak out loud and clear about their profession. Yes, guys, they've always been behind, but today coming forward to you all to make sure that you look forward to in your future, guys. Thank you all. Thank you so much. ನಿಮ್ಮೆಂದೆಂದಿಗೂ ನಾನು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಸಂತೋಷ್ ನಾಯಕ್. ಜೈ ಹಿಂದ್, ಜೈ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ. Thank you so much. Thank you all. May you all reach home back safely, and thank you to Mr. Girish sir and Mr. Robert from JSR Productions and the entire team. And yes, Prabhu Anna, thank you so much for making me sound so good. Salpa jorada chappale barli. When we sound so good and look so good and feel so good, it's of course for the JSR production teams. You guys were amazing. Vishnu sir, thank you. Nagraj sir, thank you so much for being a biggest support system. Let's make some noise for them as well. And of course, the people who were not being introduced to me. But again, let's give a round of applause for the Atlassian team, the entire support team. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Let's rock on like this for ever more coming days. Thank you. See you all until next time. Jai Hind, Jai Karnataka. Thank you. Thank you so much.